Himal magazine seeks to do cross-border journalism in South Asia. South Asia is a region that has nearly a fourth of the world's population, and the, the borders that have been created since 1947 keeps people apart, and they also keep economies apart. It doesn't allow socio-economic development to spurt the way it should. So some of us came together from Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, came up with this idea that we must try and promote an idea of South Asia that goes beyond the nation states coming together, something much more symbiotic and something more syncretistic that brings the history of this subcontinent to define, to use the history to define our future. And the best way to do it was to have a magazine with this vision. But the magazine has to have a publisher. So we decided it has to be a trust, because we're too far ahead, too much of a pioneering effort for it to be acceptable for an entrepreneur or a business entity, which will happen in future as we set the stage. So we decided it should be the Southasia Trust. Given the laws of South Asia, it had to be based in one country. So we have a Southasia Trust based in Kathmandu with board members that are fully part of this idea, and with Himal as the flagship, and with advisors, our friends from all over. This then led on to several other ideas. While Himal remains a flagship publication, a portal, a quarterly book, bookazine, but then we also felt there was a need to promote research in areas of South Asia, something that is not really happening within individual countries. So we felt it was important to have an entity, a research entity that also promotes exchange. That's how the RE, Institute for South Asian Research and Exchange, came up. And RI, H-R-I, is actually not an acronym. It is a sound. It is not even a word with a meaning. It is a sound that comes from Buddhistic and Hindu liturgy, if you will, that is meant to evoke empathy. And if there's anything that South Asia needs, or journalism in South Asia needs, between these nation states that are, sunk in ultranationalism, what you need is empathy for the other. This is why we felt this was the proper name. And the one other entity we have within the South Asia Trust is a documentary film festival called Film South Asia, Festival of Documentaries. That is because besides a magazine which will promote intellectual discourse, thinking, reportage, the audio-visual medium is the most effective in generating empathy and ideas across societies. That is why we have a documentary film festival, we have now a research institute and a flagship magazine. I think to be noticed by the Prince Claus Fund for being active in South Asian journalism and cultural activism at a South Asian scale, it really required an imaginative organization like the Prince Claus Fund to recognize this type of work. And so it certainly energized me personally, because it was validation of an idea that within South Asia is not yet the rage. It required an organization across the 7 seas that too based on a mercantilist country with a mercantilist history, which knows in that sense the globe. Holland is a small country, but it has its reach globally. So I think there may be something to do with the fact that the Prince Claus Fund is based in Holland, but it has got global reach in the aspect of culture. Perhaps people recognized what we do, what we're seeking to do here in South Asia better than us, we ourselves. So for me personally, there was a great validation of this idea. Also because while working in South Asia, I am also from Nepal. And within Nepal, I have been personally engaged in civil rights and civil liberties, and always coming up against the state or the establishment or individual political parties. So a kind of an isolating moment that people face in different societies at different times. So for that reason too, I felt recognized, and that there were people concerned with the kind of things that push me along. The organization itself, I think Himal benefited enormously from the fact that many people in other societies seem to like what we do. Film South Asia benefited because around that time I had lost the ability to raise funds for the documentary festival. Because of my own Nepal-based activism, I was becoming a little unpopular because of the status quo within the country, and we needed the money. So I can tell you simply that the festival of that year, I think it was 2009, was completely funded by the award I got from the Prince Claus Fund. So there was a direct cash transfer, if you will, from Holland to me to the film festival, Film South Asia. As far as the Re-Institute is concerned, there was I would not be wrong in saying that the Re-Institute for South Asian Research and Exchange is the child of those of us in the Southasia Trust and Himal and the Prince Claus Fund, because Lakshmi, my colleague, and myself, we sought the support after I was given the Prince Claus Award for that year. Then we were given certain privileges of making applications, which of course had to go through the rigorous process of selection. But it is from the Prince Claus Fund Award that RE has got to do the kinds of things it has done with a lot of energy, and we are moving into the future with the 3-year support provided by the Prince Claus Fund. So you can see within the Southasia Trust, the work of Himal magazine, the work of Film South Asia, and the startup of RE, all of them have had input from the Prince Claus Fund. It's very concrete in my mind, the kind of support we get from the global partnership of Prince Claus Fund. One, because it is continuous, it is not a one-off meeting. The one thing, someone like me, it may not be a South Asian trait, but certainly it's a personal trait. If you're going to meet somebody once and then be gone, it does not provide that human contact to be able to think ideas and collaborate or seek validation, again, that word, in what you're doing. So what Prince Claus network of partners does is, you meet in different corners of the world. Everybody is self-confident, if not arrogant, in their area of work, completely knowing what they're doing, why they're doing it, and to be able to touch base and throw ideas and communicate with that group. I don't know if there are many organizations such as this, where invested people from across the globe come together, and in this instance in Kathmandu, we're able to show a South Asian capital, a city with a rather strong and energetic cultural base, came late into modernization. So much of our traditions and cultural formations are still linked to the deep past, unlike even many cities of South Asia, which have modernized long before Kathmandu did. So one is an opportunity not only